Hey, welcome to Camera, Lights, and More, episode number 2. We're going to talk about Nikon, the path to Sony users to get to Red. Okay, first and foremost, subscribe, follow if you really want to talk to somebody who spends their life inside of AV production. This is what I do every single day. This is the only thing I do. The YouTube stuff is fun, but my paycheck comes from doing AV production. And that's what it comes from. Be it live events, be it anything like a recap video, live sound, video switching to live stream technician, broadcast technician. That is my only job, and I'm the owner of the business. So A.P.C photography, which stands for audio, photography, and cinematography, is what I do. So YouTube is fun. Let's talk about Sony users like myself. I've been using Sony for about a decade now, ever since they had the A6000. So when did the A6000 come out? Actually, a year before the A6000 came out. So the A6000 came out. Date was yeah. I've been doing this for a decade under Sony. Wow, it's been a decade. That was released in February 2014, so over a decade of Sony usage. And I've been trying to find an alternative to Sony or an upgrade path into some of the cinema stuff that Sony can't do for years. Canon's failed me in a lot of ways. Nikon's failed me in a lot of ways. Black Magic's failed me in a lot of ways. Red has failed me in a lot of ways because I'm not giving up the glass I have with my Sony cameras. Period. Said, done. I like my glass. And I'm going to be getting more of the A.P.C glass and other stuff again that I've had before. Everyone's happy over here. We've had some great scoring over here. This is football's great where I'm at right now. And I've been looking for a path to keep the same glass I have without losing the value of what I bought. And now Nikon's done it. Well, Red's done it. Well, let me show you what I'm talking about. You know, let's get into this. The first hint that Nikon was about to change the world came with the Red Komodo Z. Now, if you don't understand why this is such a big change, it's the mount. So, all this time, we've been stuck with, let's just say, a lackluster mount. They have the Z mount on this camera now, global shutter. This Z mount allows you to use your Sony lenses, whereas the Canon mount didn't. It allowed the autofocus to work, which I thought, what the hell for? Their autofocus at best is contrast focus in the red. Now, let me show you where they were going with this. And we're going to stick with this for probably 10 minutes and we're going to call it a night. The Nikon ZR. Now, a lot of people look at the ZR and go, it's a small camera, it's not the best, or it's not this or that. I have news for you. Or has a micro input. I don't care about the micro. It's got a 4-inch monitor. What do I care? Let's see. Is that shown on the stream? Hold on a second. Yeah, it is shown on the stream. Okay, perfect. Using a different software, so please forgive me. This is an easy one to use when I'm producing, but it's difficult when I'm not. So, all right. So let's go over this real quick. The ZR has this beautiful 4-inch monitor. It's got 1,000 nits, and that's all I need. And it's a DCI P3 monitor. And the moment I saw DCI 3P monitor, I was like, oh, Sony, why the hell haven't you done this? So I love that part there because it's a great monitor. 32-bit flow, don't really care because I'm going to be using these anyway. And I'm going to use an external recording to most cases to go over whatever I've shot. Sometimes it's good enough to go on there with just this, but if it's not, I'd have the 32-bit flow recording already in here. But this mount, You see this? You see this? There's an adapter you can get that lets you go ahead and use the autofocus that's on this Nikon sensor and give you great autofocus. And then for $2,200, it's full frame. And you get a Nikon RAW light. So they call this a Fusion or a RAW R3D. It's really just like a 12-bit version of the RAW codecs for red, utilizing the sensor of the Nikon. So what that translates into for all our colorists out there, and for people who are like, what makes this so important? It's changing color space reading off that sensor and how it's reading the color spaces, which is really cool. You get most of what makes red so amazing in its codecs off of a sensor that wasn't specifically designed by red. It's like using a color transform, but having much more of the heart of red built into it. And it gives you way more color, way more capability, and it's just plain gorgeous. Now, I have watched a ton of the reviews on this particular camera versus others. I have to tell you, the codecs they're using is trash versus an all intro. The main one would be the Sony's 265, which, as a Sony user, I don't shoot the ATVC, period. Two reasons. One, instant compatibility with every streaming source and every other source you can throw it up. 265 doesn't have that yet. 264 does. Two, the extra compression. No matter what you do, how you do it, the more you compress anything, even they call it lossy compression. I learned this in audio. You still lose stuff. There's still a little bit of the sauce is lost. It's not the same full set of ingredients. Whereas if you're using an all intro, you have every bit of the grain, every bit of the dust, every bit of the dirt, every bit of the sign, every bit of the shadow, every bit of the grain that the sensor has. And then you can choose how to adjust it. And that would be either for the Sony or for the Nikon. Now, here's where the Nikon is a plus for Sony users. I want a camera with great autofocus that I can bring out on certain sets where I want to do a super unbelievable level of production, near close to red color for this commercial. And it could be either in an interview setting or in all the rest. And I just need the camera to last 35 to 40 minutes for the interview section for all three cameras. If they cool off, whatever, I don't care. If they overheat an hour later, I'm not worried about it. And I need the camera to be able to function for an hour or two at a time and then take a break while I'm getting B-roll. For those type of shoots, this camera gives me what I want. Now, it does not take place in my FX series because this one I have to do post work with. The other one, I can drop footage. Now, let me say that one more time. This one I have to do post work with. The other, I have to drop off footage. And the other, it's not really a beast of a machine to transcode S-Log3 to a color that looks really good. And part of my service is I will develop a LUT to match the color and everything that they want done. And I proof that so that their editors can jump right into it and go to work. And then they just drop the LUT on there. Now, for all those colorist people who use 3,475,000 noids, I was a photographer for 5 years. Then COVID happened, which means I have tens of thousands, could be close to 100,000 photos I have edited as a raw photo just manipulating them layer after layer and not even have to do too many layers. And with the new coloring features that are sitting in DaVinci Resolve, half the time I don't waste time with layers or nodes because I know what I'm doing. We're playing with colors. So when I send somebody a LUT, a lot of times they're not spending time in color transforms and everything else because most of the times these people don't know how to. And they're not paying you to do the coloring because their budget's not there for it. So I end up doing that for them, giving them S-Log 3 footage, and I give them a LUT and get a proof on the LUT. If they like the proof on the LUT, they use the proof on the LUT. It's not very hard to do. It takes me 1 hour to do. And that's sending it out, going back and forth, doing emails. I make sure I have a phone call with them. I'm on the phone call with them. I send it out back and forth. I render out 5-second sets of footage, email it to them. We go back and forth a few times. We're done. We drop deliver, and then I'm done with all my obligations. And I've fulfilled the contract. The red's going to take more work. And then a lot of times if I'm doing that level of footage and work, I work the same way I used to work when I was doing high-end photography. They would send me an ICC, or in this case, a LUT, and I would know exactly what my end result needed to be. And I would shoot to make it happen. Easy enough. Very, very easy. So that being said, I love what this camera is going to bring and give Sony people an opportunity to go to this. And as we migrate between two cameras, so this will be a great camera for if you are coming from a FX3, FX30, or hybrid body. This is going to be the camera. And then if you're going to be doing an FX6, then going to the red side by side with it is going to be great because you're going to be able to have choices. And even then, depending on how well they upgrade the autofocus in the next Komodo, we might have question marks from a decade user of Sony. Thank you for watching. It's been about 10 or so minutes. Yes, I did rant, but I've had a lot of people talking about color and what you should and shouldn't do and what makes red color science so great. It's using a LUT and knowing what you're doing and delivering the right way and giving your clients an opportunity to have the best delivery possible. I appreciate everybody who watched. You did not have to watch this. I am very appreciative. I am also a little bit of a personality because, you do this long enough, you kind of build one up. Thank you so much for being who you are, what you are, and how you are. I'll see y'all on another live stream later.